Hello students. Now, if you see the entire metallurgical process, we have already done with ores, concentration, extraction, and in the last few modules we were talking about Ellingham diagram. And since we are done with that, now the next metallurgical process is refining. Now, if you see what is refining, as you know from the extraction technique, that is the second method of extraction, that is after hydro, pyro and electrometallurgy, the metals which are obtained is not pure. So it's time for us to purify or to refine them. So what is refining? Please remember, refining is the purification of the crude metal by removing metallic and non-metallic impurities, and this is exactly what we call it as a refining. Now this so-called refining can be done by 7 methods. The very first method is called as distillation. The second method is liquation, and the third method is electrolytic refining. The fourth one is poling, fifth is zone refining, sixth is the vapor phase refining, and the last one is chromatography. So it's time for us to talk about the first one called as distillation. Now please understand, when do we use distillation? Well, this is the method which is used to remove non-volatile impurities from volatile metals. So we are basically trying to separate the volatile metals from the non-volatile impurities, and metals like zinc, cadmium and mercury are preferred to be purified by this technique. Well, that's the principle of this technique. Now let us see its working. So first of all, we will take the impure metal and they are heated in a retort furnace. Now because of that, all the pure metal can get vaporized and they can be removed separately and can be condensed. Whereas what about the non-volatile impurities? Yes, they are left in the furnace, and this is the technique which is employed industrially. Now going to the second method of refining, which is called as liquation. Now talking about liquation, we are definitely going to convert something into liquid in this process. So please remember, this is the method which can be employed when your impurity is having a higher melting point and the required metal is having a lower melting point. So in this method, we are trying to separate a low melting metal from the high melting impurity. So now metals like bismuth, tin, lead and mercury are separated by liquation process. Going about its working, so first of all we'll have to take the metal and put from the upper part of the reverberatory furnace. Now because of the heating part of the furnace, the low melting metal will melt and they will fall down. And what about the impurities? Yes, they are left in the sloping hearth. So this way we can easily separate the impurity from the metals. Now going with the third method of refining, which is what we call it as electrolytic refining. Now talking about the electrolytic refining, the principle by which it works is, in this the impure metals are refined in an electrolytic bath containing the aqueous solution of their own salts. For example, if you want to refine copper, then the aqueous solution of copper sulfate should be taken. So the basic setup of this would look like this. So please remember, in this the impure metal should be taken as anode, whereas the pure metal should be taken as cathode, and the corresponding reaction will have to take place because anode is the electrode where oxidation takes place. So the impure copper will lose electrons and they will come into the solution as Cu2+. Cu2+ is a positively charged ion, so they will migrate towards the negatively charged electrode, that is towards cathode. Hence all the pure metals can be obtained at the cathode and all the impurities will keep falling down from the anode, and those impurities are usually gold and silver, and those impurities are also called as anode mud. And the beauty of this electrolytic refining is a purity of 99.99% can be achieved by this method, and this is also a normal laboratory technique. Now going for the fourth method of refining, which is called as poling. Now all you have to remember about poling is, this is the technique which can be used only for the purification of copper or tin, only when they contain their own oxide as an impurity. It's a very simple technique in which we will take the impure molten metal and we just have to take a normal green log of wood and stir the impure metal. Now what will happen when you do this is, the hydrocarbons which are present in the green log of wood will try to convert the metal oxide into free metal. And because of this, all the pure metals will come on the one side and all the impurities or the unwanted scum will float on the surface. So this way we can obtain a pure metal.